we live? Hopefully we are. Anyway, hey guys, sorry it took a little while to get set up. Please excuse me because I'm multitasking throughout this live stream. I completely missed time lunch, and literally just as I was about to press the broadcast button on my laptop right now to do this live video, my friend called me and told me she's on her way. So it's going to be a short one, I'm afraid, but I hope that you guys will enjoy it nonetheless. So let me mute that and then I can put my sound on. Anyway, so hey everyone, I can see lots of you commenting in the comment section. Just leave a question down there. This is a live Q&A, so I will answer basically any of your questions you have regards to periods or whatever. Just leave them down below and I'll go through and pick out ones I think I can answer. So let me go back to the top and let me see what we've got here. What would you recommend to deal with killer cramps? That's a good one. I think it depends on who you are, but a heat pack can help. But ultimately, the thing that's going to get rid of your painful cramps is a very strong drug. So cocodamol is quite good if you are absolutely dying and you just want relief right then. Cocodamol will usually get rid of it, or at least significantly dull the pain to a tolerable level. It can have side effects. For me, it now makes me really kind of lightheaded and nauseous and very low on energy. So, but it's that or pain really. So that's what I do. Fortunately, I've managed to control my periods now, and I'm hoping that trying out the CBD oil that I've mentioned in a couple of my other videos will help too. Let me have a look. What temperature should you use when putting reusable pads in the washing machine? That's a great question actually as well. I hope I don't say that's a great question for everything. I notice I do that sometimes in my live Q&As. What do I have? I would recommend, I personally always wash my pads on 40 degrees, and I do that because I add in a scoop of Vanish or OxyClean, basically, and that works better at higher temperatures, and that confuses some people because we always tell you to wash your pads at cooler temperatures so as not to set the stains in. Personally, I have never washed my pads at that temperature with oxygen cleaner and then had a little stain on it that I've not been able to get out. I think you can, that might just be because my blood's very easy to get the stains out of clothing and stuff, but personally, I never have a problem with it. So I would wash them at 40 degrees with a full scoop of oxygen cleaner, with your detergent and with some vinegar, white vinegar instead of fabric softener, which you can't use on cloth pads. So yeah, some people wash at 15, some people wash 40, some people even wash at 60. It really depends for you, what works for you. But personally, I found that 40 degrees actually works better because the detergent works better, the oxygen cleaner works better, and it just turns out they come out less stained actually, so I think that's great. Let me have a look. There's always a lot of questions at the beginning as to where I am because I seem to be late to these all the time. 2 minutes, yeah, it's starting. Whereas, let me see if I can see all these hello comments. There's almost always a hi section. Lots of comments. Would you ever do a meetup in London like Kingston or Richmond or South Bank? I would love to do a meetup at some point. I'm thinking about speaking at a couple of events, so I might say the only one I've got at the moment I'm speaking at is in November, I think. Yeah, it's November because it's a few days before I actually have to do the ballet performance I'm doing at the moment. But that's with an enclosed group and that's not for the public. So I'm going to try and find somewhere where maybe I could do some more public speaking and we can do a Q&A or meetup or something there because I think that'd be quite good. But yeah, I've definitely planned to do one and it would be in London because that's near where I live. I don't know where this came into context because I think it must have been following a question, but somebody said I'm 22 and still fit into a child's extra large shirt. Well, I'm exactly the same. In fact, I just bought some stuff from the Ralph Lauren kids section because it's so much cheaper. I really wanted one of their polo shirts and it's half the price when you get it from the kids stuff, and they go up to, they're really confusing like sizing on their website, but I was dying for one of these shirts. Half the price. I'm happy to wear a kids one. You can't tell it's kids when it's on. It's just got a logo on it. So yeah, I can still fit into the the largest size of the kids' clothing at a lot of brands. I do it all the time, but I was a bit depressed the other day because I went down to see my cousins who are 10, 8, and 5, I believe. And the 10-year-old girl, I've borrowed one of her jackets. Like I fit one of her jackets, and it was actually a little bit big for me, so that was kind of depressing. It was age 11 to 12. But anyway, it must have been cut generously. That's what I'm telling myself. But yeah, I'm very small. I always have been. But it's useful when you want to buy cheaper clothes. So yeah. Let me have a look. Scrolling down. Right, where is it? Lots of questions. I'm going to discover that this isn't working now, aren't I? Oh, it's frozen. Well, hopefully it will pick up again because it does still seem to be recording. Okay. Let me have a look. Do you have a boyfriend? Oh God, this is really frozen now. What is wrong with it? Well, I'm hoping it's not frozen for everybody else, and it is just me that it's frozen for, because I can't see anyone else commenting that it's frozen. Okay, it's just my computer. Wi-Fi internet. I was going to go internet then. Wi-Fi and internet are really slow at the moment. So I'll answer the questions, just not pay any attention to mine. Just let me know if it does freeze though, because this happens all the time. Do I have a boyfriend? I technically don't, but I am seeing someone at the moment. I've got a second date with him on Saturday actually. So who knows where that will go, but we'll see. So technically no, but there is somebody in the picture. How old are you? I'm 19. How effective do you find the Baltic Amber? I find it really effective for teething pain because my teeth grow super slowly, and I'm missing like a wisdom. I don't actually have a wisdom tooth here. They took a scan of my mouth, and I have 3 like waiting to come through, but one just isn't there, doesn't exist. So when my teeth are pushing through, and I've still got my second molars to come through, they really, really hurt. And the Baltic Amber does really help for that, but it doesn't help with like anything. Like it doesn't help with period pain anymore, unfortunately. I think it might have been a fluke that time that I didn't have any pain for my period and I was wearing Baltic Amber. So yeah. Love your hair today. Oh, thanks. I love my little pigtails. This is sort of a nod to anime at the moment. I always love having my hair like this, so that's great. Let me see. Who's the guy you said you were with in your period talk video? I promised this guy that I would not talk about him. I can literally only say that I have known him for a while and we kissed and some other stuff, and that's literally all I can say on the matter. I'm really sorry. I know everyone's so curious to tell, and I was like dying to talk about it afterwards, but you know, he asked me not to, and I respect that. So that's all I can say. But this is a different guy who I'm going on a date with on Saturday. So it's a completely different story, and unfortunately I can't tell it, but you know, it's the way it is. Okie dokie. Would you ever get a flatmate? Probably not. I like my own space and I like being able to control everything that's in my flat. I'm a bit of a control freak like that. And I don't need it for my mortgage. So, tips for using menstrual cups in school. So I'm going to have a bite to eat. Like I said, I completely missed time lunch today. And I'm trying to have some couscous and yellow pepper here. Right. Okay. So, my biggest tip for wearing a menstrual cup in school is if you have a regular to light flow, just use a high capacity cup. So like a normal small should be all right. Put it in just before you go to school and then take it out when you get home from school. If you have a very heavy period, you can change it once during the day. I would recommend finding a bathroom that's quiet or that is actually really busy. Can also be a good advantage as well, because if it's very busy, it's lots of noise going on. And you can just use a lunette cup wipe or a cup wipe of any brand and wipe out the cup when you take it out and reinsert it there. That's my biggest tip for school, but usually you can actually just wear it for the whole day and take it out when you get home and not have to worry about your period when you're at school, which is one of the great things about menstrual cups. That's what I always did, but I've never had a heavy period. I just skipped down several comments. Let me try and find this. Where did I just start from? This is the problem. We always get lagged behind in I always like skip over where everything is. Ah. Okie dokie. I'm gonna sneeze. My nose. What's the best starter cup for teens in your opinion? I think the classic Maluna small with the classic stem is the best starter cup for teenagers. It's very easy to use. It's kind of not scary to look at. It's a bit smaller in capacity. So if you have a heavy flow, it's not going to last you as long, but it gets you used to, like, it's the first one I used that wasn't painful. And after I use that one, I could use other brands. So I definitely recommend you get that one, use it for a while. And then if you like the idea of using it, you can perhaps go on and get another brand or size up to the medium Maluna. But I definitely recommend the small classic for most teenagers, works great. What's the age a girl could use the first menstrual cup? I'd like my daughter to initiate her period with best tools. There is no minimum age. It is literally just when you feel ready. I know 11-year-olds that have been able to use menstrual cups. But yet some of my friends who are my age were even like consider the idea, they don't like it at all. But it really is up to you. But there's no minimum age. It's like tampons. You can use them from wherever you're ready. Don't listen to anyone that tells you when you start your period, you'll just want to use pads and then later on you can use tampons or menstrual cups. I was told that, and then my first period I used tampons. So, you know, it's just a case of using of when it feels right for you. So I would suggest getting a little kit with, again, the small classic Maluna and then some cloth pads and just having it like with some chocolate in or something so it's a special treat. I always think that's the best way to go about this. Right, have you heard of Livia? I have heard of it. Ironically, that's my friend's name. That's coming around in a minute. I contacted them and said, could they send me a sample? And they said it's not in production for a long time. I also think personally it's just a TENS unit, which you can get from anywhere already. It's quite an expensive TENS unit. I've had cheaper ones. But when it does come out, I will contact them again and perhaps see if they would send me a sample and I could do a review on it. But yeah. When do you want your first child? Well, ideally when I've met the right person. And had my first child by the time I'm 25. I would be quite surprised if I made it to 25 and I hadn't had at least one child. It will, again, it just depends on who I meet, because if I meet the right person, we might want to wait longer, or we might decide that actually we want to have kids then. I'm very flexible, just whenever the time's right, really. But I would like to have, as of right now, I'd like to have a child before I'm 25, because I think I'd like to have my children when I'm still quite young. My parents were older when they had me, and there were some things that I felt I missed out on or were more difficult because of. And I also feel like maybe that's also why I had a lot of health issues too, because, you know, it's just long story. But anyway, I'd like to have my children quite young, so I'd like to have had my first child by the time I'm 25. I haven't started my period yet. I'm almost 16. I'm scared and nervous. What's the best tip to have handy? Well, number one, your period will start when it's ready. Anytime between the ages of 8 and 18 is completely normal. When I started getting discharge and my boobs grew and I got pubic hair and everything, I started wearing panty liners every day. And actually, when I first started my period, it got caught in the panty liner. So if you just have a few natural disposable panty liners, or if you want to use cloth panty liners, you can just wear them every day in your underwear. You don't really feel them. And if you're nervous, then you know you have something there to catch it when it does start. But the first time it starts, Mother Nature always springs on you at an inconvenient moment. It's just the way it is, basically. How do you cope with period pains? Ibuprofen is what works best for me. I use heat packs at the moment. Like I said, I'm trying out new products. Diet really makes a difference. Drinking lots of water and eating the right things, avoiding too much sugar. Speaking of which, I'm going to have another mouthful because I'm hungry. And what's the time? Let's keep on going. What has been your worst period? That's pretty hard to decide between, actually. I think the first period I had that was really painful, so that would have been, when would that be? May 2013, I think, when I had never experienced periods that painful before I started throwing up. I was feeling really lightheaded. My mom had to take me to the hospital because we just had no idea what was going on. I thought I had appendicitis actually. It was just so painful, and they just went, well, you've got your period, and that was it. Although then another time I had to actually get an ambulance out. That wasn't because of my stomach pain, but because I was on my period, I was getting period pain, and the meds I took sparked a reaction in my chest, and I couldn't breathe properly, and it was really, really painful. And I just like needed the gas in there, which is fabulous stuff, by the way, when that happens. But yeah, that was probably one of my worst as well. So I don't really have a worst. I had several really bad ones, but they're not pleasant. So yeah. Let me have a look. Yeah. Lots of questions here. How's the plant-based diet been going? It's actually been going really well. It's a lot easier this time because I live on my own. I can control everything in my house, and cooking's not a problem for me. So yeah, it's been going great actually, which is haven't felt like I can't say I've noticed like an increase in energy or a decrease in energy, but I've been fine. Like that was what I really wanted because I was worried that something might happen and I wasn't stable. But there we go. Okay. How old did you get your period? 14. I think I was just 14 actually as well. And it was in August. When would I have been 14? August 2012? 2011? Gee, I can't even remember. It's 5 years ago. It's 2016 now. So it must have been 2011. Wow. Even I've forgotten that. I'm sure I mentioned it somewhere before as well. My nose is itchy. How can I tell if I have a high or low cervix? Basically, you wash your hands and you stick your finger in there. If you can only go to the first knuckle, you have a very low cervix. If you can get to the second knuckle, you have a low cervix. You can get it in and touch it, you have a medium cervix. And if you can't reach it, you have a high cervix. That's the best way to tell. How big are your boobs? How big are my boobs? They are, I think, well, they're technically a B cup, but I don't wear a B cup bra because of what the problems I have with my chest. I actually size down a cup size and go up a width. So I should be a 32B, I believe, but actually I wear a 36A in order to relieve the pressure on my chest, and it works perfectly well for me. So that's what I do. And that's a good tip if any of you have painful chests as well. So yeah, technically a B, but I like having a B cup because I can like squish them down when I don't want to have a chest, or I can stick them in a push-up bra and look like I've got boobs. So they're the perfect size in my opinion. Yeah, right. What's the point of the sample cups companies send you that have large holes punched through them? They're demonstration cups. So they're just for showing people at events or at schools or places, just to educate people about menstrual cups. So they can't be used because you don't want to pass around a cup that somebody has like used, has been used several times. So they don't work. They're just there literally for you to see it. And often they're also cups that have a small fault with them, so they can't be sold. And that's why they get a hole punched through them, so people can't use them because it wouldn't be safe. And also means they can be used for demonstration stuff. Do you think you'll be using natural contraception? I personally can't take hormones. I think I've mentioned this before because of health conditions and also personal beliefs as well, and just physical problems. My body rejects hormones is the basic thing of it. So I can only use barrier methods and also natural methods. So when I use contraception, I always recommend for people who are younger and especially teenagers or people that just really cannot afford to get pregnant at that point in time. I'm a realist. I don't say abstain. Obviously, that's the only way to guarantee you can't get pregnant. But I always say use 2 methods of contraception. Combine any 2 you like. So most people would combine a hormonal contraception, such as taking the pill or having the hormonal IUD, implant patch, whatever, with a barrier method, such as using a condom or a diaphragm. I personally would probably use condoms and use family planning method, which is where you time parts of the month where you avoid your fertile cycle, you don't have sex in the fertile part of your cycle. That's probably what I would do. So yeah, that's what I'd recommend. Well, no, it's not a recommendation, it was just a question also, but that's probably what I'd use for natural. I would probably stick to natural contraception. I definitely am not happy putting hormones in my body. Just for me personally, it just doesn't work. Oh, ironically on the same sort of subject, have you ever heard about the fertility awareness method? And if so, would you recommend it to women who would like to learn more about their cycle? Yes, I just talked about it. The family planning method is like fertility awareness. Sorry. It's a great way to know more about when you're fertile, when you ovulate, all the different points in your cycle. It is very good if you want to learn more about your cycle. Just be aware that if you mistime it, that it can cause, that's obviously going to cause problems because you could get pregnant. So that's why it's probably the least effective of the methods. But if it's done properly, then it should be just as effective as using other methods of contraception. So if you know how to do it properly and you read up properly about it, then you should be fine. I'm going on a trip and I just got a menstrual cup. We are going whitewater, rapid riding, and lots more hard sports. Will I be okay? Please help. Yeah, your cup will be fine through all that. I've done gymnastics, I've done horse riding, I've done all of that with menstrual cup in. I was absolutely fine. You'll be good. Just have fun. Okay. How many cloth pads do you have now? Oh my goodness. I haven't counted any time recently, probably a good thing actually, but I would reckon at one point I had about 80. I've sized down a bit now. Problem is I have a drawer of the pads that I use, and then I have pads that I've been sent for reviews and for other stuff that I store somewhere else for videos, in case anyone ever asks me for a comparison video between two pad companies or whatever. So yeah, I probably have way too many. Yeah, probably around 60, 70, I'd say. Oh my God, that's embarrassing to admit, but yeah. I get sent a lot of them free for reviewing on my channel and stuff, so it's not like I spend all that money for nothing. Okay. Let me find. There's an unhormonal copper string that can be implanted. The copper coil. Yes, I personally would not have this done until after I'd had 3 children, just because it can, in rare cases, and do know it is rare, it can in rare cases cause scarring in the uterus. And I also know 2 people who've had their copper IUD perforate through their uterus. If that happens, it will ruin your fertility, basically. It will drastically reduce your chance of conceiving. And kids are so important to me that I would honestly rather use a barrier method and such as like condoms and family planning and have it go wrong and get pregnant than have the copper IUD and risk scarring. Like, that's just my personal preference. So for me personally, I'm not willing to take that risk until after I've had at least 3 kids. But it is another option that is non-hormonal for any of you out there who are looking for a non-hormonal thing that isn't a barrier method. Copper IUD is a good option for that. Let me see. I'm trying to not have repetitive, but okay, that's my friend. I'm going to have to go now, guys. I know it wasn't a particularly long live stream, but thank you so much for joining me. I will try and get another one up soon, preferably when I've not been stupid and like double booked the same day. Thank you for watching, guys. I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.